Order related to COVID-19 public health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that in-person meeting at City Hall with all participants is not practical or prudent. For this reason, aldermen and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall, and physical public attendance at City Hall may be limited. This meeting can be viewed live on Channel 9 for Mediacom customers living in Rock Island, or on the city's YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/rockislandil/live.
It's quite a string. Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark. Alderman Clark. Alderman Hurt. Alderman Hurt. Alderman Spaghettis. I'm 3 for 3. Alderman Spaghettis. Alderwoman Swanson.
Hang on, we gotta check the system. Maybe there's a.
You're not going out for some reason.
Hang on, Tim is checking on it.
Not ignoring you, they just can't hear you.
Okay, Alderman Clark.
Here.
Alderman Hurt. Alderman Spaghettis.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here.
Alderman Parker.
Here.
Alderman Poulos.
Here.
Alderman Geenan.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here,
We have a quorum.
thank you. For those, if you're not speaking, or if oh man, I can't speak either. Could you mute your microphones, please, for the background music? Wow, where am I at? Noise, thank you.
Welcome to Monday.
That's exactly. All right, John, you're up.
All right, appreciate it. Well, hello, everyone. I'd like to start off by thanking you all for allowing us to report on a very special partnership and project that's currently underway in the city of Rock Island. The First Tee and Rock Island Park and Recreation Partnership's a very special partnership to us, our community partners, and a lot of youth in our area. The partnership has positively impacted over 1,000 kids in our community, many of which are underserved. We look forward to further establishing our relationship and continuing to grow the program and the impact to the community. Presenting with me tonight, I've got Todd Winter, the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation, and I have Sarah Cross, the Executive Director of the First Tee of the Quad Cities. Both of these individuals have been instrumental in the success of this program, so I'd like to thank them for that. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Cross from the First Tee.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having us tonight. So I'm going to kick us off. Before I get started, I do have a yardage book, something that we give each kid on the first day of class. It really spells out our program, and it represents what we stand for, our values, and I'd love to give you each one if that's okay. You could
Absolutely.
thumb through it if you wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
I honestly encourage you to turn to any page out of any of the 4 books and take a look. It really kind of spells out our program in a way that the coaches do it. They're trained professionally, and these books go along with our program. Okay, so a little bit of background about First Tee, just in case anybody was unaware. First Tee, we exist to enable kids to build the strength of character that empowers them through a lifetime of new challenges. Utilizing the game of golf as our platform, we create learning experiences that build inner strength, self-confidence, and resilience that kids carry with them to everything they do. So the core of First Tee is to take the natural values like honesty, integrity, respect, and judgment. We teach that by handing out these yardage books, a very workable type of workbook. Kids come in for 6 weeks at any of these levels, depending on where they are in age. They start at Target, which is our 5-year-old program. They transition to player, par, birdie, eagle, and they would graduate at an ace level. All each are 6 weeks long, and each a different session of First Tee. So a little bit of history about our partnership, First Tee and Highland Springs. We became official partners in 2014. Since then, we have served well over 1,000 kids of Rock Island, Moline, and outlying cities. You can see our broken down of demographic. We do this by having kids, everyday kids, sons or daughters, come register for class. It's our 6-week registration process. We also have our partnering agencies like the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Martin Luther King Jr. Center, Spring Forward, and Rise Up. They all come in and do 6 weeks of First Tee programming through Highland Springs. So again, just to talk a little bit about the history and why First Tee and Highland came together. So again, we came together in 2014. In 2018, First Tee helped Highland Springs put in a short course. It's found on their driving range. It was about a $175,000 project. First Tee took over $125,000 and Highland Springs did $50,000 towards that project. And we were able to renovate the short course, which is utilized by our First Tee participants and members of Highland. So what we're trying to do is build a classroom inside a new facility that will be on the grounds of Highland. The reason a classroom is so important for First Tee is because of the book that I just handed out. Kids come in for an hour of First Tee programming for 6 weeks. About 20 to 25 minutes of that hour is spent working through this book. It's spent with teachers in front of them, teaching these core values. They're writing in their books. They're keeping these books with them. These books reflect what they not only learn here in First Tee, but also how to apply it at school and at home. So it's very important for us to have a space where kids can sit, they can see a whiteboard, a coach or a teacher is up in front of them, and putting them in that learning environment, we find that they're much able to relax, they're able to communicate their needs, they're able to understand programming a little bit easier, much better than something we would do on a picnic bench or just right there out on the driving range. We feel like it's very important and it's the right time to put them in an actual classroom. We're actually modeling this off of our partnership over with the city of Davenport. We have a classroom at Red Hawk where our kids start their program, they go through the book, and then they head out to the golf course and do their First Tee lessons. So this is a very successful model that we already have with the city of Davenport. We're looking to apply it here in Rock Island. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Todd to talk about the actual facility.
So apart from the First Tee's use of the facility, I was going to outline some of the needs that Highland Springs has for a new clubhouse facility. First off, the existing clubhouse has outlived its useful life. It's original to the course, which was built in 1968, so it's over 50 years old. The new clubhouse will also bring a brighter welcoming point to the golf course. Right now when you come into Highland Springs, I'm sure you guys have been there, you pull in, you see the dumpsters, see the back of the facility, where the new clubhouse would be, you'd come in and you see the front of it, be a brighter welcoming point. In addition to that, our golf course is consistently rated one of the top public courses in the area, and the new clubhouse facility would add that good first to last impression and create that overall experience that our golfers expect of the golf course. Thirdly, we would have greater potential for revenue generation from a new clubhouse through additional food and beverage sales. We'd be able to attract larger outings and be able to use it year-round for events and programming. The scope of the project, we're looking at building a clubhouse that's about 3,000 square feet, which would be close to 500 square feet bigger than our current facility. As Sarah mentioned, it would have space for the classroom in the for the First Tee to use. This classroom space would also be available for other functions too. It would have pocket-style doors that could be open, so it would be additional seating for meetings or events or just general day-to-day use. There will be office space that will be used by golf course staff and First Tee coaches. The concept is an open floor plan, so we'll have a big open area for tables and seating for functions, for meetings, for events, a larger area for retail displays, and a bar too. So all that leads to increased revenue generation. And the outdoor patio will be a wraparound that'll come from the back and wrap around to the side, overlooking number 18 green. So that'll be a more inviting space to keep people around after they're around, watching people come off the course. It'll be able to accommodate outings and hopefully lead to increased food and beverage sales. It'll have a built-in grill as well that we'll utilize on the weekends and during outings. The space that we're looking to build this is off the west end of the parking lot. There's a big open field over there, so it's ready for construction now. And like I said, it's right off number 18 Green. And as you come into the facility, you'll look at the front of the clubhouse on that end of the parking lot as opposed to the back of the clubhouse like we have now. And then the last thing is that it'll be closer to our pavilion too. So the outings will have the pavilion that they use for their post-round celebrations. It'll be closer to that, which is an added benefit there. So I'm going to turn it over to John now.
All right, thanks, Todd. Lastly, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the budget and the timeline. This is a project that's, we're not going to build this humongous clubhouse, but we want to build a smaller to medium-sized clubhouse that's really well done. It attracts, like Todd says, not only golf, but it'll attract smaller wedding receptions, retirement parties, things of that nature, other additional revenue streams that we don't have now. We're looking at this project at a $1.3 million budget, financed over 10 years. And we've been working with preliminarily working with a number of Rock Island banks to get figures back, and it's coming back at about 1.5% on that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to break those 10 years down into two segments. The first segment will be the first 4 years, and the second segment will be the last 6 years. So year 1 through 4, we've got 2021 through 2024. We're going to need to raise $600,000. And since January of this year, we've raised over $250,000 together. The lion's share of that is the First Tee's commitment of $200,000 towards the project, and then the department has raised over $56,000 in private donations. Our goal is to get to that $600,000 over those 4 years, and I don't anticipate that being a problem. These numbers do not include any community foundation asks or any grants that we're going for. We have met with those leaders as well locally. The project has been very well received, and we anticipate multiple year gifts with those as well. Year 5 through 10 is where it gets a little interesting. We've currently have a bond at RIFAC that's 20 years old. It's going to be paid off in 2024. It was for an addition done at RIFAC 20 years ago. Our financial commitment for that each year is $215,000 with principal and interest. In 2024, that will be paid off, and we would like to shift that portion of the budget over to cover the Highland Springs project at $150,000. So we'll actually see a reduction in our expense in our budget of about $65,000 as those last 6 years run out. And while all of this is going on, we'll work with the First Tee and the Parks Department and the Park Foundation to every year continually raise funds for the project to get that number even further down. So this isn't something that we're asking for any tax dollars to do. We're going to do it through fundraising. We're going to do it with paying off some current bonds and allowing us to actually reduce our budget by starting another loan process with a local Rock Island bank that's going to result in a facility that's going to have a huge impact through the First Tee and our kids, as well as additional revenue streams for our department, and a very nice facility here in Rock Island to go along with one of the top-rated golf courses, community golf courses locally. So that's what that looks like, and we can answer some questions after that. The project timeline, this month we'd like to submit an RFP for financing. We've touched base with a number of banks. We want to get their proposals in writing, see what that looks like over 10 years, see if we can get that interest rate even a little better than 1.5%. In May, we'd like to submit RFQs for construction management. We feel it's very important to have a construction manager walk us through this project from start to finish. Because they guarantee quality work, qualified contractors, subcontractors, and also they reduce the number of change orders that come in. If you've been involved in construction projects, you know that change orders are a part of that when you don't have construction management, and they cost you a tremendous amount of money on the back end, and they can destroy a budget like no other. So we want to guarantee quality, we want to guarantee our budget, and we want to guarantee our timeline. Now that doesn't come with no expense, but the expense of a construction manager is far less than what it would cost with change orders on the back end and a subpar product that you didn't really want. 2021 and every season moving forward, we're going to host many fundraisers at the golf course. We're going to apply for many community foundation grants, and we're going to continue to solicit private donations. It's critical to us to begin this project this year. As you know, as time goes on, the expense for a project will naturally increase, and we don't want to do this. The goal for us is to break ground in late October, early November, and have the doors open in June of 2022, so we can get this thing going for a number of reasons. And with that, we'd be open to any questions that you may have.
Anyone from the city council?
Yeah, this is Alderwoman Swanson. So on your loan request, what are you putting up as collateral for that? Will that be the clubhouse, or will the city be on the hook if the loan defaults, or how does that work?
Well, right now, we've got over $250,000 in cash through the First Tees commitment and our fundraising to date. So that would be a large portion that we'll be putting down to get that going.
Okay.
And then also, it's a great question. I'll also, let's say worst case scenario, we're not able to get to that $600,000 point in 4 years, which I think we not only will get to, we'll surpass. But let's say we only get to 2/3 of it. We get to $400,000. How are we going to come up with the other $200,000? I would sit down with the bank. I would want to refinance, and that $215,000 that we're used to paying every year for the past 20 years, that's going to go down to $150,000. I would imagine we could work that up a little bit to make up for the $200,000 on the last 5 years of the loan. So that would be how I would approach that, obviously with the help of the finance department.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Sure, this is Alderman Geenan. I'm in no way an expert in any of this, but the one thing I do know is that, John, you and your department have proven yourself to be capable and of thinking of creative projects, coming to us with ways that encourage folks to come to the city of Rock Island, to play in Rock Island. And from the Day Foundation, we've worked with First Tee. What a stellar program under the leadership of Sarah. So I just think this is just a wonderful thing to be hearing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll echo that too. Great, looks like a great project. First Tee is a great organization. It's been a great, partnership and throughout the whole Quad Cities.
Yeah.
So it's
I agree.
It's wonderful.
John, this is Ivory.
Hi, Evan.
I just wanted to, I had a personal question first. How do I get my grandson involved in this?
Let me answer that.
And
Yep. Yeah, get a hold of me, Alderman Clark, and it's easy to make that happen.
okay, well, I will definitely be doing that, John. But I just wanted to echo what Alderman Geenan had to say. If you look at Douglas Park, people are having a lot of conversations around the job that you guys are doing. It looks nice and it's just beginning. So I expect great things, even when I'm off council. And this is just another way to invest in our city and make it just better for business. So thank you guys thank you and your team for doing what you're doing. It's truly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ivory.
I got a quick question, not just with this, but it was, Sarah, you talked about 1,000 kids at Highland Springs. How many across First Tee do you guys service in a year?
In a year?
Or whatever.
So, okay, so to put it in a year perspective, in 2020, despite being shut down all of spring, we still programmed 420 kids traditionally through our 6-week program. And that does not include our free and reduced scholarship kids as well. The partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club, the Martin Luther King Jr. Center, that's separated from that 420. And that's in 1 year being shut down for a quarter of the year. Do you mind if I say something just to end this? I have lived in this community my entire life. What Rock Island is doing with the YM project and the YW project is truly inspiring, and we really hope to follow suit and continue to make Rock Island an incredible place to live. I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it for 31 years, and hopefully my children and everybody else as well now.
They will. Thank you very much. Appreciate those great words. Anybody else have any comments? Once again, thank you. Appreciate everybody's commitment. You guys always do a wonderful project. Mr. Bartels, Public Works. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for allowing Public Works to do this presentation on the City Council goal of improving the city image in regards to Public Works and many other items. Tonight, we're going to talk about a few things that we've already implemented and some things that we plan to implement here in the near future. So this slide here, we have what are some priorities, like I said, that we've already have been doing and plan to implement here in the future. This is an added focus on right-of-way cleanup, and the first one that we have is downtown mulching and landscaping. You know, with last year with COVID and budget restraints, we've struggled to maintain some of those mulching bed areas, including mainly the 4th and 5th Avenue corridor, the one-ways. Those are approximately from 15th to 20th Street approximately. There's a lot of beds in that location that need maintenance routinely that have been foreshadowed. So we're working hard to get that done, and what we've done is reached out and got some bids from contractors to improve those beds. And so we're supplying the materials for the project, and they're doing all the maintenance. And the cost came in very low, and we're very pleased in that the contractor's already begun that work. So we're excited to get that done, and they started that last week. Another item that we're doing and will be doing is the downtown deep cleaning. So we've assigned some Public Works personnel. Currently, we've been doing this now for a couple weeks and doing a deep clean of the downtown. So that's including blowing off all the sidewalks, emptying trash on additional days, in addition to what we've already been doing, and mulching and weeding all the tree plants and beds. We're also going to put a renewed emphasis on street sweeping. So starting this season in March, we've have a first and second shift equipment operators that are working a total of 64 hours per week. That's all they're doing is street sweeping. We started with the main streets, and we've made a complete pass of all the main streets. We're moving into the residential streets. And in some future slides here, I'll show you some of the brick street locations that we've done and the improvement that they've made. They really cleaned up well. And it's really needed because with all the potholes we have out there currently, all the gravel mix, and I know everyone's familiar with that, but it's hard to stay on top of. But again, we're just running that basically 64 hours per week. And then pavement striping, the streets, you know, the turn arrows, the stop bars, the regular lane lines, those were not striped last year as well because of COVID and reducing our construction projects. So that project's getting ready to be let, and we'll get everything striped up and looking fresh.
Mike, can I interrupt real quick?
Yes.
This is Dylan. Regarding the downtown deep clean, are you or someone in your department in communication with Jack Cullen?
I have not been, no.
Okay, could we?
Go ahead.
You first.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, we plan to. I have not met him personally, but I know Randy was going to put us in touch with him.
Yeah, please make contact so that he can be communicating with downtown property and business owners that the city is doing this and et cetera, right? Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And he is aware that we're going to be starting this, so.
I also have a question while you're on this slide, if I might. This is
Okay.
Alderman Spergel.
Yes, sir.
Residential streets swept once, is that once a year, once a month? I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
That's once a year. That's the hopes. Again, you know, residential streets, obviously there's a lot of residential streets. If we can get to them more than once, we will. You know, we used to have 2 sweepers. We now have one. That the second street sweeper that we had was just old. We didn't have the funding to replace that, so we surplus that. We have one great functioning street sweeper, and so we're focusing on the main drags, brick streets and residential streets. I would say that we probably get to them at least twice a year, but we've already, like I said, we've already been through all the main drags currently. So I don't see that being a problem.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, and continuing on here, for trash pickup, cleaning, graffiti removal, and general maintenance, we've already started doing this on some of our main corridors. We've canvassed for trash and debris at least once this year. All debris from the crosswalks, such as gravel and weeds, will be physically removed. 11th Street will be the focus in the downtown, and then 18th Avenue corridor, followed by all the other main streets throughout the city. So that's medians that are in the center of the road, or boulevards with sidewalks along our main corridors. Any weeds that are sticking up in sidewalks or in medians, that's, again, all this gravel and debris gets trapped in those areas, and we'll be physically removing that. Continued lighting improvements. So in addition to the LED upgrades and regular maintenance, we are restoring vintage lights around city facilities and increasing holiday decorations downtown. I'll show more of that here in the presentation. And then some miscellaneous improvements. We've fixed and cleaned right-of-way infrastructure such as gates and fences. We've been improving the levee and getting the vine off the city hall. So this is some of that mulching that I said that we were contracting out. This was start last week. They began last Friday, so today would have been the second day that they were working, but we should have that done here in the next couple weeks. And that is, again, this location here that I mentioned. You got from about 15th or 17th Street down to 24th Street on 4th and 5th Avenues. And that doesn't look like much, but that's a lot of work right there. That's a lot of square footage to get done. And included with that is any plantings that are in those shrubbery. That includes trimming, all the mulch pulled out, all new mulch applied, weed prevention, putting down an emergent to prevent any future weeds, and then maintenance along with that. Some areas, too, that we've received either through the city manager or calls is adding these locations to our weed spraying contract. We've had a weed spraying contract for our levees, city facilities, and right-of-ways, and we were getting a lot of calls on these areas, so we've added these locations to our current weed spraying contract. So this area here, the Public Works.
Mike, excuse me, this is Alderman Sperges.
Yes.
Before you go on, the weed spraying additions to the contract for 11th Street,
Yes.
that slide with the 2-block area, having a red line down it, that's the one, yes. Is that the only part of 11th Street you're going to spray weeds, or what about the rest of 11th Street?
We can add additional locations in. Like I said, we spray the Watchtower site currently for weeds on the west side. If there's locations that you'd like to see added, you can email those to me, and we'd be happy to take a look at them, get them added to the contract. Weed spraying predominantly is pretty inexpensive, so it doesn't cost a whole lot to add locations.
Mike, this is Alderman Geenan. I didn't see on the map, is around the area, the QC Pancake House and Circa 21 US Bank, is that area included? I think it's a lot of traffic.
It is not currently, but I will certainly take a note of that and have that added.
I had a few comments specifically around that area last year.
Is that in respect to the planters?
Just the weeds coming up through the sidewalks,
Okay.
you know, how it looks as people walk to the Pancake House stuff.
Okay. We will take a look at that and get that addressed. So the Public Works downtown cleanup, again, talking about the downtown. The picture on the left is some work that we've already done with in-house Public Works personnel, and this is just basic, getting fresh mulch down, making things look cleaner. And then on the right, you can see in that picture some chunks of concrete, those types of things. We've addressed some of those, or again, coming here in the future, after the spring leaf collection is complete and we can dedicate additional personnel to the downtown, that's going to be our focus. So addressing these kind of items. And again, like Alderman Parker mentioned, we will get in contact with Mr. Holland and address those items as well. In street sweeping, so we talk about some elevated medians. We're looking to do these every 2 weeks. And then brick roads, I mentioned earlier, you can see the staining on both sides of the road. That was a street that we completed last week. We're currently still working on the brick streets, but you can see how much debris and just standing water and mud and leaves that were in that area and how it really cleans them up nice. So just continued focus on cleaning up these areas. Graffiti removal, this isn't anything new that we're starting. Again, we've always done these items, but again, just getting out and addressing it as quickly as possible. You know, it gives a bad sign, and we want to get it addressed quickly. Some litter pickup that we done. We completed this 18th Avenue Hill. This seems to be a catch-all. We get a lot of debris in this area on the south side of 18th Avenue, going up 18th Avenue Hill. We completed that last week. Again, and this is the mention I talk about, the right-of-way cleanups on the main drags, physically getting out, collecting all the trash and debris. We also address a lot of illegal dumping. You can see the picture on the right. There's a pile of tires behind that tree that were illegally dumped there. You know, as soon as we are made aware of that, we go and we address those types of items for, you know, gets rid of the unsightliness. Some stormwater abatement. We're looking to work with Andy Parr and CED with our stormwater technician. We've done some projects in the past to abate stormwater. I promise that raccoon was picked up. Had somebody go out and take pictures, and that was just in there, so I apologize for that, but it has been addressed. But these couple sites here that we are hoping to address here in the near future with stormwater runoff. I know there's others, and we have others in mind as well. These are pretty two high visible ones that have been on our radar for quite some time. Some lighting improvements. I'm not going to talk about them all because we've done a lot of those already and are still working on lighting improvements. The one on the left, the Hallberg light there, that was just finished here, probably a few weeks ago. Actually, the light was finished last week. That was a partnership with Hallberg. They did the boring and got the service over to the light. We pulled in the wire and put in the new fixture. So it's a nice add to that area of town. And, you know, it's helping with the historic preservation. The City Hall exterior lights, we repaired those, upgraded those. They're now on a remote system. You can hit a remote and change the color. So for holidays and special occasions. So, you know, those are the type of things that we're looking to improve, not only in the city itself, but for our own facilities. This is a project that we did last year with some funding through the downtown TIF. This was for holiday lighting around the entrance there to the city. We purchased Christmas lights and put them up. It's great. It's not as grand as the modern Woodman behind there, but again, it added something.
It did. Looked great.
I know one of the council goals was, you know, a reporting mechanism for streetlights, and this is right off of our city website. There's several different ways to report streetlights. There's 2 links there that you can click on. One is for Mid-American owns lights that are on wooden poles, and the other one is to submit a request through our Go request that's on the city's website. And when you click on those links, this is what you see and read here. And again, it talks about the difference between aluminum and concrete poles, who's responsible for those poles, and what to do.
One of my constituents called and said that he's been trying to get lighting fixed 5 years along Fifth Avenue down by Augustana.
Okay.
I know that the police department used to do a pretty good job of reporting
We do that with Public Works. We'll spend a week or so, have guys come in early or overnight and drive around for our city fixtures. I think the lights that you're referring to are on actually Fifth Avenue from approximately, and I was going to talk about those here as in my ending. That's okay. Those lights have been out. Those are city fixtures along in front of Mid-American Energy, wrapping down to Augustana near 38th Street. What we did to address that was the amount of money that it would take to get those up and running. The underground infrastructure was bad. The conduits, the wiring, even the poles themselves were in bad shape. So what we did was work with Mid-American Energy. When you come in from Moline into Rock Island, their one-way lighting is on Mid-American owned poles, wooden poles with LED fixtures on that. So instead of investing into a bunch of money to repair our own infrastructure, we work with Mid-American in the state of Illinois and put in LED lighting on existing wooden poles. So it's not that the lights aren't working there; they've been replaced with different lighting. So. Matter of fact, this summer we just got our permit, IDOT permit approved to get the old poles removed. So we'll be removing the old city-owned poles, and what's left is the lights that are currently there. And we did a lighting system, and IDOT approved the lighting photometrics. So everything is good to go. But again, those lights have all been addressed. Mm-hmm. So some miscellaneous improvements here that we have. This is a small thing, but we wanted to mention it because it's been a headache for ours for quite a while. But we had some vandals have been getting under the bridge and stealing copper that fed the fountains. And so every time they ripped that copper off, we'd have to replace that, and the water would just be spewing everywhere. So we installed gates. It may not still keep them out, but it's done the job so far. And levee improvements, again, people ride our bike paths. They like to see nice areas cleaned up, and every chance we get to, remove dead trees, clean up debris, we're constantly working on that type of thing. So, in closing, I guess a couple things that I'd like to add is that I thought of after we got done with this presentation was, things like the fountains. We've done at the mayor's request, but those are things that we're still working on, making the entryways look nicer. The lighting that we've installed next to the fountains that shine up on the Centennial Bridge structure. We changed those for holidays. Those are good things to add with like Rock Island football games for your rivalries between Allman and Moline or Rock Island. We change those for whoever wins the game for green or maroon or red or yellow. So those are things that we have been doing and things we want to continue to work on and improve. So with that, I'll turn it over for questions if anyone has any.
A couple things. Great job. I mean, this has been outstanding, and I think everybody knows my feelings on it mostly. It really makes a big difference in a city. It's like somebody does care, and it's a place I want to be. And so thank you for all of those. And I got to add, too, that they've also worked on the clocks, up on 18th Avenue and 17th up there, the five ways. They've been working on those and gotten grants from, I think, Kiwanis or one of the groups. But so thank you for that. What about power washing down on the I'll say not the stage, but the planters and everything else? I know there's potential of those coming out, but if that happens, it wouldn't be until late this year at best.
Are you talking power washing of the plaza surface itself?
Yeah, surface and also the limestone that met the planters, the walls of the planters.
Yeah, we purchased a pressure washer that was going to be part of our downtown cleanup.
It is part of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And of course, the floor of it too, I guess, or the walkway.
Exposed aggregate area.
Exposed aggregate area. It makes a big difference. Brightens it up. Deal. How about, I don't know if anybody reported there's a K missing on the sign there coming off the Arsenal.
We have that made. It's currently made. We're getting it primed and ready to install.
Oh, that's fine.
Yep, it should be up momentarily.
Oh, that's great. You guys are on top of it. Appreciate it. Anybody got questions?
Yeah, Mike, this is Alderman Geenan. Just as I shared with the First Tee and Parks and Rec, I think folks are noticing this momentum and this enthusiasm about this hopeful future of Rock Island that we see in front of us. We've survived COVID, we have this money from the Rescue Act, and I see organically brewing this like renewed interest of folks saying, hey, like, Sarah said, we're here to support Rock Island. They want to chip in and see how they can help. And, I think we should tap into this momentum too as you're, cleaning up downtown and just stuff like that. Don't pass the opportunity to engage folks that would chip in, I think it's a good opportunity. I really like the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you for that, Alderman Geen, and we appreciate that, and we will certainly do that. A couple things I forgot to point out where I found my slide here. When you talk about streets and then the rescue funding, we are continually work on streets. Those are year by year. Again, we've talked about our CIP. Our past 5-year CIP is now funded with motor fuel tax funds, so you'll continue to see those improvements. This year alone, we just opened bids for Black Hawk Hills residential streets, and those are going to be reconstructed this year. So things outside of this presentation that I haven't talked about tonight, we are currently working on. We have our maintenance patching contract. We're out currently doing brick repairs and utility patching repairs. We have 20 locations, bigger locations that we'll be doing in every ward this year to improve street conditions, and I know it's a little at a time. But we are making progress. We're going to be working on about 28 sidewalk locations this year off of our previous locations and requests. So again, we're making progress. The Johnson Controls contract with LED lighting, we talked about LED lighting tonight, but we are upgrading that. We're about 70% done with the LED upgraded using the JCI contract. So here in another month or two, we should be complete with all the LED upgrades that are city-owned lighting. So that's all I have. Again, thank you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I've taken that note down from Alderman Geenan in regards to the Pancake House. And Alderman Spargettis, if you'd like to email me those locations, I'll see that we can get those added for 11th Street.
I'm real pleased with this effort, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ivory.
Mike, this is Ivory. I just wanted to say thank you for taking all my calls. I call you every week, if not maybe every other week, but you take all my calls and you make sure you get whatever has been illegally dumped, you get to it immediately. You and your crew have been doing a wonderful job in the first ward. And I just wanted to say thank you out in public. I say thank you a lot, but thank you in public.
Thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that.
Alderman Geenan,
I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
So I and we all, I'm sure, have recognized that the city of Rock Island has a capacity issue in a number of fronts, as I'm sure you are aware, mainly having enough resources, whether that be staff or money, frankly, to get the expectations done. I guess my question is, these are a lot of great things, and I'm very happy to see them. Have they been the result of us identifying some way to increase capacity, or I guess what has changed structurally so that now we can do this type of stuff?
Well, for one, we're hiring we're replacing positions. We've brought in several new positions, like just the street sweeping alone. We filled vacant positions. We have 2 or 3 coming in still. So that is really the biggest addition. And then again, just prioritization. But yeah, manpower has been the biggest asset that we can contribute to getting these things done and implemented.
Did were people just not applying? I guess my question is, why were they not filled before? Did we have these positions open for budgetary reasons? Is it just hard to get the right people?
So
Did the storm last year put us behind?
we had a hiring freeze last year, if you remember. Some positions were left open from the previous year for budget reasons, and then we were going to examine those positions last year, and then COVID hit, so all of our positions were basically a need to fill. If it wasn't a critical position, we didn't fill it. And so now we're in the process of filling those and have been, but what happens is sometimes someone junior takes a more senior position. and then you have to backfill that position. So sometimes it takes a while to get the new people actually in. But that was the biggest reason we had the hiring freeze last year. And we still do have some positions that are open for budgetary reasons. We're just trying to get back to the numbers that were presented to council for this year's budget.
We also had that big storm that took a lot of staff hours on other places too, I remember.
Yeah.
That was a big factor.
I want to mention and do a shout out to Alderman Guinan. You talked about like Sarah Cross and the help from other people. Norm Moline, and I've talked to him several times, but he and several others have been walking the bike paths, doing cleanup also, kind of on their own, and then contacting some of the companies in the industrial park, Sunset Industrial Park. He asked me to contact a few of the companies picking up garbage in their lots or that's blown up against the dike. And so they've kind of taken that on and looking for city assistance with it, but Norm Moline deserves a shout out for their help on the bike path.
I know that several of the aldermen have been getting phone calls about this, and at least I'm going to not take up your time tonight with it, but I am going to send some stuff to Randy so that staff can take a look at it to see if it is something that we can address with regard to, and this is more towards the downtown area, so I'll be working with Alderman Parker on that as well, so that he is fully. I'm sure he's aware of some of the areas that I'm talking about, but I think there's still some areas towards the downtown area that do need addressing, and hopefully we have the resources that we can look towards that area.
Any other further comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Job well done as always. So this part of the meeting, the study session is over. We will be starting the city council meeting at 6:45.